Ladies and gentlemen, another extraordinary Thursday. Last night, I dreamed of every single piece of news I'd be sharing with this nation of passionate Eagles fans. But today, I want to walk side by side with each one of you. So, with great humility, I kindly ask you to drop your like and your best comment here on the video, because that truly strengthens our community. Go Birds! Here, every video is not just information. It's emotion, it's energy, it's the heartbeat racing alongside the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the place where every victory, every loss, every rumor, and every update becomes fuel for our passion. Because being an Eagles fan isn't just about cheering, it's about living the spirit of Philadelphia in every detail, every play, every moment. And to jump straight into the news, I want to leave you with a phrase that captures what it means to wear this jersey with pride and dedication. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go together, Eagles Nation, because the best is yet to come. Now let's dive right into what's happening. The Eagles are heading into a massive Week 3 matchup against the Los Angeles Rams, and fans are looking for signs of life from an offense that so far has looked flat. Through the first two games, this attack has been described as boring, vanilla, and predictable. That's not what you expect when you look at the level of talent Jalen Hurts has around him, with weapons like A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and Saquon Barkley. Still, context matters. Under Nick Sirianni, one of the most important elements of this team's identity has been turnover avoidance. The numbers don't lie. Since 2021, the Eagles are 36-2 when they win the turnover battle. That's nearly unbeatable. Add that to the fact that winning the turnover margin in the NFL statistically leads to victories about 80% of the time, and you can see why the Eagles are cautious in how they approach their game plans. But that conservative approach is testing the patience of fans. In today's football culture, where fantasy stats, betting lines, and highlight clips dominate, people crave explosive plays. They want Jalen Hurts launching 60-yard bombs to A.J. Brown. They want Saquon Barkley breaking free for 50-yard runs. And so far, the offense hasn't delivered that. What's even more frustrating is how close they actually are to hitting those game-changing moments. The tape from the Chiefs game shows it clearly. On the very first play of the game against Kansas City, A.J. Brown went in motion, lined up in the slot, and was wide open for what should have been a 70-yard touchdown. Hurts read the play correctly, but the blocking broke down instantly. Grant Calcaterra completely whiffed his assignment, and Kylen Granson missed his backside block. Hurts was forced to scramble, fumbled, and the entire opportunity was blown. Imagine if that play had connected. Instead of people criticizing the offense for looking stagnant, the entire narrative would have shifted.
On national television, in front of more than 33 million viewers, the Eagles would have announced themselves as an explosive force ready to dominate. And it didn't stop there. Later in that same game, DeVonta Smith had another near touchdown on a quick-hitting play out of the slot. With open space ahead of him and just a shoestring tackle holding him back, Smith was this close to turning a routine completion into another 70-yard highlight. If he breaks that tackle, it's 6 points. Plays like these show that the Eagles' offense is knocking on the door. They are literally inches away from creating the explosive identity fans have been begging for. Of course, there's also context to consider with Kansas City's defensive strategy. Steve Spagnuolo dialed up blitzes on over 60% of Hurts' dropbacks. That's the highest blitz rate he's ever called since becoming the Chiefs' defensive coordinator. Under that kind of pressure, it would have been reckless to run long developing plays. Hurts had to get the ball out in just over 2 seconds on average. You can't expect deep bombs downfield when you're being hunted like that. This is where many casual fans miss the nuance. They'll open the box score, see that Hurts had only 101 passing yards, and rush to judgment. But what they don't see is the strategy at play, the adjustments being made to keep drives alive, and the way Hurts was actually doing exactly what good quarterbacks are supposed to do, taking what the defense gives you. That's been the story of his early season, adaptability. Against Kansas City, it meant quick passes and survival under heavy blitzes. Against Dallas, it was different. Hurts recognized the Cowboys weren't spying him, so he used his legs and tore them apart on the ground. That kind of versatility doesn't always show up in gaudy stats, but it does show up in wins. And when you consider the broader philosophy of this team, avoiding turnovers, dominating in the trenches, and wearing down opponents over 4 quarters, you can see the plan in action. The Eagles are like a boa constrictor, suffocating opponents slowly but surely. Now, offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo has addressed this directly. He admits the offense hasn't looked explosive yet, but he insists the strategy is to build toward peaking later in the season. He pointed out how in past years, the Eagles didn't really find their best offensive form until weeks 7 or 8. That's when they started rolling. He compared it to teams like the Miami Dolphins under Mike McDaniel, squads that looked unstoppable in September but fizzled out when the games really mattered. Patullo's belief is simple: better to work through these issues now, learn from them, and be peaking in December and January. That raises the big question, though: will Eagles fans be patient enough to trust the process again? Because the film proves this team is close, very close, to hitting those explosive plays. But so far, those moments have slipped through their fingers. And as this team prepares to face the Rams, fans are left wondering, is this the week it all finally comes together? Let's pick up right where we left off, because this is where things start to get really interesting for the Eagles moving forward. The reality is, the offensive struggles aren't just about 1 or 2 missed plays. They've exposed a bigger question about balance and adaptability in Nick Sirianni's system. The Eagles have been criticized for avoiding intermediate throws, specifically in that 10 to 19-yard range. According to Pro Football Focus, Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in the league who hasn't attempted a single intermediate pass this season, other than Mason Rudolph, who barely has any snaps to his name. That's staggering when you think about it. It means an entire section of the field is basically being ignored. Now, Hurts isn't the kind of quarterback who layers passes with finesse the way Aaron Rodgers or Brock Purdy can, dropping perfect touch throws into tight windows in the middle of the field. His strengths are different. His deep ball timing and accuracy are elite, and his ability to extend plays with his legs is one of the best in the NFL. But completely ignoring that intermediate zone makes the Eagles' offense predictable. Defenses can sit on the short routes and prepare for the occasional deep shot, knowing the middle is off the table. If Sirianni and Patullo really want to unlock this offense, that's an area they're going to have to fix. Another point worth digging into is how much the Chiefs' blitz altered the game plan. Blitzing Hurts on 64% of his dropbacks was historic for Spagnuolo, and yet Hurts still managed to handle it without the Eagles falling apart. That shows 2 things. First, Hurts' composure against pressure is improving. He was decisive, quick with his reads, and most importantly, he didn't put the ball in harm's way. Second, it exposed the need for more reliable pass protection from the supporting cast. We already talked about Calcaterra and Grandson missing assignments on that opening play, but those breakdowns happened multiple times. If the Eagles clean up even half of those errors, those missed touchdowns we talked about earlier likely become highlights instead of what-ifs. It's also important to note that while Hurts has been forced into conservative play, he has quietly been excellent in 2 key areas, against the blitz and on third downs. Those are the money situations in the NFL, the kinds of plays that decide close games. It's why the Eagles, even while looking underwhelming, are still winning. And it's why Patullo's strategy of slow building confidence has credibility. The Eagles don't need to peak in week 2 or week 3. They need to peak in week 17 and beyond. That's the entire philosophy here. But still, the frustration is understandable. Fans aren't wrong for wanting more excitement. Watching a methodical offense grind down opponents works, but it's not always fun. This team has too much firepower not to use it. A.J. Brown's frustration is visible. DeVonta Smith's opportunities feel limited. And Saquon Barkley, one of the most dynamic backs in football, hasn't been unleashed in the way many thought he would be. It feels like the playbook is still in preseason mode, cautious, scripted, and hesitant. That needs to change, and soon. One encouraging thought, though, is that history under Sirianni shows the Eagles do eventually open it up. In 2021 and 2022, the offense looked uneven early before exploding later in the year. Even last season, it wasn't until around week 7 or 8 that they found rhythm and started stringing together dominant performances. If that pattern holds, the breakout is coming. It's just a matter of when. And when it does come, look out. Hurts still has the best deep ball in the NFL, reminiscent of Russell Wilson in his prime, but with even better overall decision-making. The offensive line, when not missing assignments, is still one of the most talented groups in football. And Sirianni has proven time and again that he knows how to get his team to peak late. Add in a defense that continues to keep games close, and you can see why optimism is justified. The Eagles aren't broken, they're building. They're close. The film proves it. And if they clean up the mistakes and add just a little more aggressiveness into the mix, we could be on the verge of watching this offense erupt. The real question is whether that breakout happens against the Rams in week 3 or if fans will have to wait just a little bit longer. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to know exactly what you're thinking. Are you buying into Patullo's slow build philosophy and trusting that this team will peak at the right time? Or do you think it's time to open up the playbook right now and let Jalen Hurts and this offense loose? And don't forget, if you love this kind of breakdown, hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and stay tuned, because I'll have another Eagles report on the screen for you to check out next. Fly, Eagles, fly. And let's be honest, this is exactly what makes following the Eagles so thrilling. Every week feels like the next chapter in a story that's still being written. You can sense the energy building, the foundation strengthening, and the moment approaching when everything clicks at once. That's when the league remembers why Philadelphia is never a team to underestimate. Because this city doesn't just cheer for football, it breathes it. From the grit in the trenches to the electricity of A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith stretching the field, from the leadership of Jalen Hurts to the toughness of this defensive front, the Eagles embody resilience. And resilience is what wins in December, in January, and, if all goes according to plan, in February. So buckle up, Eagles Nation. The season is long, the challenges are real, but the ceiling for this team is sky high. And when the birds finally spread their wings, it's not going to be a spark, it's going to be fireworks. And that's why every snap matters from here on out. We're not just watching football, we're watching a contender sharpen its edge week by week. The league knows the storm is coming, and when it hits, it won't be subtle. It'll be loud, it'll be relentless, and it'll have Philadelphia written all over it. So stick with me, Eagles family, because together, we're going to ride this journey all the way. The story isn't finished yet, and trust me, the best chapters are still to come. Fly, Eagles, fly.